The RMS Titanic was a passenger liner which launched for its maiden voyage on April 10, 1912 out of Southampton, England. The ship, which was touted as unsinkable by its owner, the now defunct White Star Line, famously struck an iceberg and sank in the North Atlantic Ocean just 5 days into its first outing. This is obviously not the thing you might not know. Thanks to James Cameron, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, and meme culture, everyone is more or less up to date on how the sinking of the Titanic went down. Today I'm focusing on one unsung hero from the Titanic's lower decks who did everything he could to save as many as possible. I'm Think So Joe, this is Things You Might Not Know, and this is how Charles Joughin became the last survivor to leave the RMS Titanic. Born August 3, 1878 in Birkenhead, England, Charles Joughin started living life at sea as early as 11 years old. As a young man, Joughin began working for White Star Lines as a baker on multiple ships, including the Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic. On April 4, 1912, just 6 days before the official launch of the Titanic, he joined the crew as the chief baker. On the now relentlessly recounted night of April 14th, Charles Joughin was off duty and in his bunk when he felt the shudder of the ship as it struck an iceberg. He scrambled to get up and investigate to immediately come across many members of the crew scrambling to the boat deck. Joughin immediately gathered the 13 bakers working under him and had them get provisions to as many lifeboats as they could. Among the life-saving supplies was 4 loaves of bread for each boat. After sticking around below decks to help speed the evacuation process as much as possible, Joughin made his way to the upper decks to help fill the lifeboats. As anyone who has been through a crisis situation involving an evacuation can tell you, there are always at least a few dummies making things harder for everyone else. In this particular case, there were people who believed that staying on a ship gradually disappearing into the freezing ocean was preferable to getting into lifeboats. Charles Joughin's solution to this? Pick them up and toss them in like a sack of flour. He was a baker after all. When Joughin was able to get to the lifeboat that he was meant to be the assigned captain of, he discovered that there was already sufficient crew aboard. Instead of unnecessarily adding to that number, he relinquished what would have been his seat and went back below the decks to his bunk. This is when he had what he described as a drop of liquor, but let's be real, he polished off that whole bottle. Who wouldn't in that situation? Joughin popped back up to the boat deck to make sure that all of the lifeboats had been lowered and then promptly made his way to the promenade. Here, he proceeded to toss every patio chair he could find over the side so that they could be used as flotation devices for those not able to board lifeboats. Just before the Titanic split in half, Joughin made his way to the stern of the ship. As the back half of the Titanic was in an upright position and was quickly being consumed by the ocean, Joughin climbed over the railing and, for lack of a better term, rode the Titanic the rest of the way into the icy North Atlantic. According to his own accounts of the situation, he was miraculously able to keep his head above water. Determined to continue surviving, he swam until he came across an overturned collapsible lifeboat that already had a few crew members clinging to it for dear life. Eventually, the RMS Carpathia came along to scoop up the survivors of the ill-fated RMS Titanic. Now, to answer the question that all of you were relentlessly looking up on IMDb instead of paying attention to me, was he in the movie? Yes, he was, and you saw more of him than you probably realize. Charles Joughin is listed among the characters of the 1997 James Cameron film as Chief Baker Joughin, and he was played by Tuohy. Joughin's ride on the back of the Titanic was immortalized on screen for all of us to see, but was sadly upstaged by Leo DiCaprio's Jack, who, if you watch closely enough, steals the over-the-railing idea from one of the true heroes of this disaster. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching Things You Might Not Know. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can see a playlist of Things You Might Not Know videos over here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.